Welcome, everybody. We are here to talk about the news that just came over the wire today about Square Enix now working with Marvel on a multi-game, multi-year cooperation. I'm here with Andrew Reiner.
Hello.
Brian Shea.
Hey, everyone.
I'm Matt Miller. And there's a lot to unpack here, even though there's not a lot of details yet about what is going on in the specific games that are going to be part of this partnership. Basically, what Square and Marvel have come out and said is that they are going to have multiple original blockbuster games, so they claim, being developed at Square Enix studios, including and starting with Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal. So let's start off just top of your head. What's your take on this, guys?
Well, I think the first thing is that they're AAA studios. You know, like it's not, we're partnering with this indie developer or this, kind of B-tier developer. Like, these are developers who've put out big games. Like Crystal Dynamics is behind Tomb Raider, Eidos Montreal behind Deus Ex. So I think there's a certain expectation of quality that we would get. But also, I mean, after the Disney Infinity thing kind of collapsed and the future of Marvel properties in video games were kind of uncertain. And I guess now it's a little less uncertain, which is nice as a big fan of Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, here in this office, the three of us, along with some of our other editors, have sat around and had numerous conversations about what Marvel could possibly be doing that they're not embracing doing larger AAA games with these properties that are so huge in the entertainment sphere right now. You have characters that are incredibly known on an international level, and to not be tapping that seems very strange. So whether it was going to be Square Enix or somebody else, this announcement doesn't come as some giant shock to me that they're trying to find a partnership that they can take advantage of.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of failed attempts at Marvel with games in the past, the Iron Man movie adaptations, all that stuff. And what we're seeing now is with Insomniac Games making a unique tale on Spider-Man, and now we have Crystal Dynamics stepping up, doing what we're kind of believing is going to be a unique Avengers tale. I think that is very good that they're creating unique video game universes for players to play in, and are not trying to piggyback these on. They might release around the same time in the films, but try not to tell those same stories. That's where we failed. We need unique stuff like Rocksteady did with Batman, and I think that's what we're going to get here. So this is very exciting. The one negative I have is these big studios are now doing brands, not original titles.
Very good point.
More and more, we're seeing these big AAAs be pulled over, whether that's EA's studios with Star Wars, or Rocksteady doing like Batman, stuff like that. These big AAA developers just doing these brands, not new IP.
Yeah, absolutely. I in particular want to talk a little bit about Crystal Dynamics and what that means for the franchise they've been working on for a long time, which is Tomb Raider. But let's unpack for a second what you're talking about there with this new universe. I want to read one thing from the press release that they put out. Like we said, there's not a lot of info yet going on about what is going to be part of this partnership. But they do say in a press release, featuring a completely original story, it will introduce a universe gamers can play in for years to come. There's some wording they use in there that definitely implies that they're doing something that is not part of an existing storyline, right? Not the comics, not the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The idea that it's going to introduce a universe. It could mean, introduce a universe into games, like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but I really don't think so.
Just think how expensive that would be, and how off-putting it would be if you didn't get Robert Downey Jr. or like all those actors to be on board. It just seems like an impossible venture to get them into the game itself, or multiple games. Their best avenue is to have like Nolan North play Tony Stark. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
Do something new, make your own footprint. We're going to recognize all these characters no matter what. Iron Man, Captain America, Hulk, they all have to be locks. Thor, we saw the hammer in the trailer. Just do something cool with that. What they do is the big question mark.
Yeah.
Crystal Dynamics, it seems like they would make a Hawkeye game, with Lara Croft being the bow and arrow expert. So there is going to probably be some reinvention in what they do. It seems like open world-ish is probably the avenue you want to go with a lot of these heroes, given their capabilities, but we'll see.
So I've got to wonder, like, since there's all these games that have their own, like, there's all these developers that have their own games now. We have Telltale with Guardians of the Galaxy. We have Insomniac with Spider-Man. Are those characters licensed exclusively to those developers, kind of like we see in the movies? Like nobody can touch X-Men except for Fox right now, and Sony finally let Spider-Man come over and play with the Avengers. But like, does that mean that we're not going to see Spider-Man in either of these Square Enix games?
I don't know for sure. We don't know the specifics of what those deals are. Oftentimes that stuff is kept pretty far under wraps. However, I do think it's important to be clear that there's no indication from this news today that those other projects are in trouble or that they're being canceled or anything like that, right? Like, we're still expecting to see a very cool new take on Spider-Man from Insomniac. I think the gears of getting all of this working have been going for a long time prior to this announcement, right?
Absolutely.
And so the Guardians of the Galaxy thing that just came out, just a few months ago now, that almost certain people knew that this Square Enix thing, people at Marvel and Square Enix knew that this was going to be going on well before that announcement got made. Maybe it wasn't finalized yet, right? But they wouldn't have made that announcement unless all these things can continue to move forward. So there's some aspect of how things have been licensed out that allows for them to continue doing all this stuff. And now exactly which characters are up for grabs, we don't know, other than it's very clear, they've made clear in what they've said that the Avengers are on the table.
Absolutely.
Well, we talked a little bit about these studios. Let's talk about Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal. I mean, these guys are these are really strong studios, right? Like they're trying to make a statement here with their initial push of who. I mean, that's the main piece of info we have here, is that those two studios are going to be involved working together on this Avengers title, presumably with Crystal Dynamics in the lead. What do you guys think? Is this a good fit, just generally?
We'll see. I mean, I like that they picked developers with chops for sure, and I'm sure there's the vision's already probably laid out there. We don't know how far along these projects are. You know, are we going to see these at E3, or is this just an announcement 2 years in advance? You know,
yeah.
We'll have to wait and see what the game plan is here in terms of the release schedule and all that stuff. But I do like both these studios working together. I generally like both studios as games. Either they're great or
good.
Just good, right?
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's the right approach. Again, just to reiterate, I want more IP in the game industry. I think that's one of our biggest problems. But at the same time, we need games like these. Like, we've talked for years, like, where are the Marvel games? This is crazy. Like, Warner is, DC is marching up and down, he's stomping them to death. There's nothing Marvel, and here it comes, and they're doing it in a big way.
They are.
And I think that when I think of like what I would want from a Marvel superheroes game, I think I would want a really awesome action game. And to me, that's what these two studios do, is they deliver really strong action titles.
Yep. I think I would love to see, some more teasing of what they're going to be doing sooner rather than later. I'm not holding my breath. They make the point to call that out in their release, that more details on the project and other games will be announced in 2018. So I think this is going to be one of those things where they want to get out there the idea that, hey, we're doing this. Stop criticizing, as Marvel, please stop criticizing us for not doing anything with these characters.
Stop with the emails.
We are doing things. But it's going to be a while. I mean, AAA development for people who follow these different development studios in recent years has lengthened and gotten bigger and more complicated. Really big teams are involved in putting out any one of the games that we consider a AAA game now. And so it doesn't surprise me to learn that, I mean, even if they may have been, Crystal Dynamics may have been working on this since they finished up Rise of the Tomb Raider, as far as I know.
Yeah.
But
entirely
that
possible.
still could mean that they are years away from a release. We just don't know.
Yeah, I would like to see open world. I'd like to see action. I could also see a Marvel-skinned Overwatch type of experience. I know Capcom's doing the Marvel versus Capcom stuff, but just think about that. Like, that universe is so rich in possibilities, but it's just a matter of like honing in on each of those characters and making them special. That's the trick.
Yeah.
Avengers is a big project. It's not just one character. It is multiples no matter what you do.
Well, let's nerd out here for a little bit, guys, and talk about what we see in the trailer and where we think they can maybe go. I mean, one of the important things that they they show off is we do see some of these iconic characters, or at least the tools of their trade that show up in the trailer. It looks like things have been pretty wrecked in the initial trailer that we see. We see a beat up Captain America shield. We see what looks an awful lot like an Iron Man arm.
Yeah.
Right? But just the arm. And we see Thor's hammer, but no one
Thor.
holding it, right? And then their big sort of like hashtag around it is reassembled. Now, for those of us who've read Marvel Comics for a long time, that's a turn of phrase that means something. So let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, Avengers Disassembled largely relaunched the Avengers into the modern consciousness back in the 2000s, right? I mean, you guys have read some of that stuff, right? Do you think they would be going back to cues from some of that storyline, or doing something completely different?
I think it really looks like they're kind of maybe saying our universe has existed for a while. You don't know what that really means, but here is a new entry point. But we're going to kind of play with that. We're not just going to have fresh characters. Like you said in the trailer, it looks like something terrible happened. So, and the phrase reassembled means maybe this is the first step of a new Avengers team, which also plays off those words of a new universe to play with, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think that it would be wise of them to kind of these characters are so well known at this point. It's not really a thing of like, oh, we need to tell the origin stories of all these characters again because nobody's seen the movies. Yeah. I think that it would be wise of them to be like, all right, these characters, like kind of like they're doing with Spider-Man now in the movies. It's like, all right, we don't need to tell how he got bit by a spider again. Like, all right, these characters, how they came together, something terrible has happened, and now like it could be the story of them getting back together and like triumphing over this massive evil that did this to them in the first place. Could be a different opponent. Could be any number.
New characters stepping into the shoes.
It could be new characters.
Trailer really kind of screams of that. Like these heroes are down. New characters maybe take their spots.
I mean,
we'll see.
That's one of the things that I think in the broader conversation about the Marvel Universe right now is a big deal, right? We've seen starting in the comics, this effort to both diversify their lineup of characters and also just move new individuals into particular roles, right? There's different people within the comics who have inhabited the role of Captain America and Thor and Wolverine and Spider-Man, right? Like all of these major characters who for decades basically were largely connected, not always, but largely connected with this single named person. They now seem to be moving more in the direction of making the character name be the thing.
Yeah, it's like a theme.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
they franchised out the character.
Well, sort of, right? And I think that's met with mixed reaction from fans in some cases, but there's no denying that that's like where they're going with it, right? It gives them the flexibility, whether you're talking about the Marvel Cinematic Universe and where they go with it in the 2020s, right? And once there are actors who are aging out of roles and things like that, it gives them an out there to continue to move forward. But it also in a new universe like this with new AAA games, I think it really is up for a question about which Thor we're going to see here, right? Which Captain America are we going to see picking back up that shield that we see dropped in the trailer?
And I don't think this is going to be another part of the cinematic universe.
No.
They would have had that in the press release on day one. And that's also been kind of a false promise on their point of the Netflix series is a part of it. And it's like, these things are very distinct. Yeah. Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. would have a little snippets from the movie without the actors in it every once in a while, or a side character come in for an episode or two. But the connection there really hasn't been that strong. So I'm glad they are kind of doing their own thing, hopefully.
So that they're not beholden to that stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it all shakes out. I think at the very least, I'm excited to hear that
it's a big thing.
They're moving forward. I think Square Enix is not the first name that would have come to mind for me of like where this partnership would come. But upon reflection, particularly with these North American studios that are going to be working on it, Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal are good picks.
Yep.
And I think it'll be a while before we hear anything. But it's a big new deal, and one that I'm going to be following pretty closely.
Same here.
Well, thanks everybody for watching. You can bet that we will be continuing to watch anything that happens with this ongoing relationship between Marvel and Square Enix. Thanks for watching.